These warriors have sworn to fight. For you. Many lives will be lost. Or perhaps just one.
Evitel, what's going on?
I think Saurfang is about to challenge Sylvanas.
No. Sylvanas Windrunner! I challenge! Sausage eating competition!
He can never win.
Why should I accept your challenge?
You really like sausages.
Come on, Saurfang!
I'm really surprised at how good he is at eating sausages.
You are all nothing!
Yay, Saurfang!
Saurfang?
It's what he would have wanted. And I hope when the time comes, that's how I go too. Eating sausages.
He's so brave.
Knowledge is power.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset, Taliesin and Evitel's wondrous wisdom show, where, as usual, we have some catching up to do with all of the latest news and knowledge for BFA and Classic, and some pretty exciting looking forward to do for both of those games as well. And we're going to start today with current WoW and Battle for Azeroth, and the aftermath of patch 8.25, but far more importantly, what's going on with 8.3. When will we hear about it? Why haven't we heard about it? And what does that mean for BlizzCon? Because this week, our friends over at Wowhead found that beautiful, tantalizing patch 8.3 vendor build. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh wow, Taliesin, that's amazing! An actual, real-life vendor build for patch 8.3. I am totally incredibly excited about that right now. In fact, to be honest, the only way I could be any more excited is if I knew seriously what even slightly a vendor build is. Maybe you'd like to explain that to me since you're wearing a tie, which suggests that explaining such things to me is in fact kind of your job. And actually, yes, that's a good point, and I would love to help you out, but honestly, I have no idea what a vendor build is either, if I'm perfectly honest. Or at least I didn't, until I asked people at Wowhead, and they very slowly and patiently explained it to me like I need. So a vendor build is a weird thing. It doesn't have to be a real build. It could literally be reserving space in the data for where a real build will go later, and this particular gap just happens to be called 8.3 for reasons. That would be pretty unusual though, to be honest, and a vendor build totally can be a real build. It often has been in the past, just on a different branch than the public test realm. Vendor builds can be updated through a PTR cycle too, it's just not usually newsworthy. There are two things about the 8.3 vendor build that do make it interesting though. Firstly, obviously, it's labelled as build 8.3.0.32044. And secondly, it's encrypted. Just like the 8.25 PTR, war campaign quests and cinematics were also encrypted. And it really does beg the question, doesn't it? If Blizzard is going out of its way to keep 8.3 secret right now, why? I mean, it made sense with 8.25, as we've been expecting for quite a while. That patch came brandishing some very significant story developments and future implications. You can see why they wouldn't want all that given away in advance, especially as that grand dramatic war campaign story flourish was pretty much all that came with patch 8.25. Those two awesome cinematics, which we predicted before anyone else even saw them, would be called Traitors Assemble! And that big awesome 6-minute Death of Saurfang cinematic, which I think turned out to be a pretty accurate shout actually, even if they actually ended up being called Negotiation and Reckoning. Although, satisfyingly, I've had whispers tell me that the name Negotiation is actually pretty new, and that actually many of the cinematics team referred to it as Avengers Assemble most of the time, and I like that. And about 10 to 20 minutes worth of questing, all of which we talked about in depth in our last video, but none of which is lasting content, and it's not meant to be. I mean, yeah, there are the new Goblin and Worgen models, of course, and if you're Alliance, the actual genuine joy of the Hive Mother rep grind for your beautiful round fuzzy bee mount, which is actually great. A good old-fashioned, non-time-gated scavenger grind, spiced up by a daily elite mob and 40-man events. It's actually genuinely a really cool and satisfying time sink. And that's before you even get started on Barry, who is clearly amazing and needs to get married off to Banner Bay as quickly as possible, because that's how memes work, right? I'm pretty sure that's how they work. I actually genuinely feel a bit bad for exclusive Horde players here, because they are missing out on some fun content. And right now, new fun content is very much at a premium. Because yeah, 825 wasn't really about the content, it was meant to give us something to talk about. And that it certainly did. Like, seriously, how do I achieve that perfect Banner Bay Mog on every Forsaken character I play from now on? And when will every dueling flag that drops from the sky in-game get its own Banner Bay to carry it? Or why is Thrall pulling that massive dick move of burying Saurfang in Nagrand when he literally just spent the whole last couple of cinematics saying how Nagrand is bad and wrong, and that Azeroth is his home that he's willing to die for? Seriously, Thrall, come on, listen, mate, listen. But also questions about Sylvanas and her part in what may or may not be coming next. Because yes, if you stayed as a Sylvanas loyalist right through to the bitter end, you actually did get an alternative questline and ending, where you got the sweet, sweet joy of arresting Eitrig and leading him through the streets of Orgrimmar, and then some one-on-one time with your very own Sylvanas cutscene, where she pretty much told you that she has a diabolical plan. And also questions about the very future of the Horde and Alliance, and like how surely those faction badges that have appeared next to our character names but still somehow look weirdly underutilized yet, surely those have a bigger meaning and purpose, right? Well, I guess time will tell. And that is a sentence that I found myself saying more than I was expecting to after 825, I have to admit. Because okay, the war campaign is over, Saurfang met his inevitable, sad, heroic end, and the citizens on both sides are coming to terms with everything that's been going on. But what is missing, in a way that we WoW players are not accustomed to recently, is a roadmap for what happens next. Compare this to the ending of 7.2, where we zap out of a fight on an interdimensional disco ship with Kil'jaeden, and yeah, eat shit, noobs, because there's a planet in the sky now. How do you like them apples? In that situation, the way forward is pretty clear, isn't it? We're going there, okay? But as things stand, we don't have that same sense of purpose and destiny laid out at the end of this patch's events. I mean, yeah, everyone keeps saying that we need to go and defeat N'Zoth, and that sounds like a grand old plan and everything, but it's not like the threat he poses is obvious or immediate. N'Zoth isn't in the sky for everyone to see, is he? And yeah, Sylvanas clearly has her own death magic-y endgame in mind, and that's ominous, but we don't know what it is. Which is why people are getting so agitated waiting for news on 8.3, because presumably that's going to tell us some of that stuff, I guess. Because at the moment we're just sitting around patiently for a baddie to appear and put us all in danger. We're doing that, and our characters in game are doing that. It's a bit weird. So why haven't we been told about 8.3 yet? What possible reason could Blizzard have to keep us in the dark that's worth the action tailing off like this? Well, there's three main theories that have been buzzing around. One, there is no 8.3. 8.25 is the end of BFA, Eternal Palace was the final raid, and actually at BlizzCon it will be revealed that the new expansion is a lot closer than we were all expecting. And I mean, I don't think anyone ever really believed that there was no 8.3, but this is the kind of shit people start talking about when you don't tell them all about it. Anyway, there definitely is an 8.3, here it is, next theory. 2, the entire premise of 8.3 so clearly gives away the next expansion that they can't possibly tell us what it is before they announce the next expansion, so that they have to announce them both together at BlizzCon. So, I don't know, say 9.0 turns out to be Tuskarrs of the Black Empire, and don't worry, obviously that's a joke because everyone knows that's next expansion already, but then say 8.3 takes place in a zone called Gateway to the Black Empire, and the raid is called Partial Return of the Tuskarrs, more to come later. later, something like that. I mean, that's possible, I guess, but it seems pretty unlikely. I mean, yeah, the ending of the patch, like the final cinematic or the raid or whatever, might well give away the next expansion, or at least lead pretty heavily into it, but that would be a secret until the patch came out, or at least reached a pretty advanced stage on the PTR anyway. That still wouldn't seem a very good reason to hold off announcing it for, don't forget, about a year longer than the equivalent time frame it took to announce Argus in Legion. So, no, I don't think we'll be getting an 8.3 announcement alongside the new expansion at BlizzCon. And for the record, I don't agree with option 2B either, which suggests that maybe there is no new expansion reveal at BlizzCon, and that's why they're saving 8.3 as the big WoW news. And the reason I don't think that is because honestly, I don't think Blizzard can afford the deposit on the Anaheim Convention Center when angry, rioting attendees burn it down, which is what would happen if there was no 9.0 reveal at BlizzCon in a month. Especially after the amount of hype that members of the WoW team have been happily heaping onto this 2019 event. I've said it on this show many times, but last year, multiple Blizzard employees, as in more than 10, told us that if there was only one BlizzCon we ever went to, ever, make it 2019. Halinka has recently taken time out from flipping tractor tires and one-handed pull-ups to tweet about how the WoW team are going to knock it out of the park. There are BlizzCon opening ceremony viewing parties happening in meltdown venues all over the world, from London to Paris, Madrid, Montreal, and Sheffield. And this is not so that they can announce 8.3 or WoW Mobile, okay? At least I'm pretty sure it's not. No, there's for sure a new expansion, okay? Only leaves possibility number 3. Blizzard will be announcing 8.3 before BlizzCon, and therefore, by necessity now, that's going to be very, very soon. We said a couple of weeks ago that we expected this anyway, but especially now this vendor build is here, that there will be one of those cheeky little Ian or Jeremy streams going out. Surely this week? Next week? It's gotta be this week, surely, announcing the patch, giving us vague release date, which I'm guessing will be early 2020, showing us some cool little sizzle reels of the zone and the mounts and the raid and stuff, and telling us that it's about to go onto the PTR, either straight after BlizzCon or, like, seriously, right now. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not an easy thing for Blizzard to have to make happen by any means. All staff hands on Team 2 are well and truly on the BlizzCon deck right now. It really is a massive ask to get that show done every year, and even just announcing 8.3, let alone looking after a new PTR, especially one that you'd imagine would be quite big, would be the absolute last thing that any of them really need. But honestly, I don't see what else they can possibly do unless they want to be announcing 8.3 at BlizzCon, which I really don't think they do. To give you some idea of how these things have worked in the past, when the vendor build for 8.2 got sniffed out, then Jeremy Fiesel was on our screens exactly a week later to give us the lowdown on the content, and the PTR went live the week after that. Now, this isn't directly comparable, obviously, because we'd known about Nazjatar and Mechagon for ages by then, since they were announced at BlizzCon, but all past evidence is pointing towards us finally knowing the endgame of this expansion in the next few days, which should make for some very exciting episodes before BlizzCon. And there's no denying that not knowing where we are heading is exciting for sure. Is it as exciting as knowing? Is it as hype as having the next chapter there, in the sky, plump and green and ready for you to hop onto the Blinkder car and zoom off to? I guess, and here's the motto for BFA it turns out, we'll have to wait and see. Until then, all of us, just like our characters, we'll just have to wonder. And I don't know about you, but I'll be keeping a very close eye on Wowhead over the next couple of days. Links, as always, in the description below.
And look, if you can't make it to BlizzCon this year, don't worry, because as always, you can experience everything that those attending can, except with the added bonus of actually being able to see some of the panels by buying the BlizzCon Virtual Ticket 2019. Priced at $49.99, the same as 2018. It'll come with all the usual live coverage and behind-the-scenes videos that we've gotten used to, and the usual array of digital goodies, which, hey, do you like World of Warcraft? I mean, yeah, probably, and if not, sorry for this whole video, I guess. But do you especially like Tyrande and Illidan? And do you also like Overwatch? Wow, all of you like all of those things? Well then you're going to like the Tyrande and Illidan Overwatch skins that come with the virtual ticket. And do you still like World of Warcraft? And do you also like pets? There's the Sylvanas and Anduin Murloc pets who have their own pets. And hey, do you also like pajamas? Well, yeah, there's the Wendigo Transmog onesie with cute BlizzCon lanyard. This transmog is like heritage armor. It can be used over any armor type and is the first transmog in the game that completely covers Tauren hooves. Rejoice, Tauren players, for at last you have a foot transmog that will hide your feet and make them look like big feet. Okay, so it's not perfect, but all good solid gifts that hit that sweet spot of totally being worth having, because I totally remember the shit show about the faction banners last year, but not being so great that you feel blackmailed into buying a virtual ticket that you don't really want just to get the good stuff, because I remember that was totally an issue with the Horde and Alliance gunship mounts the year before. And that fine balance was especially appreciated on the forums, where the players praised that, no, it was a shit show, obviously.
No mount, what the fuck? No mounts again. So we can't wear a witch's hat all year because it isn't appropriate, yet we can kill stuff in our PJs, really. Glad to see Blizzard doing more and more outfits slash transmog for $. Clearly the game subs and millions of players subbing not enough to keep the company afloat, Lamau. I hope it backfires one day so hard it ends them for good, and we can put this chapter of greedy MMORPG companies behind us.
Now, don't get me wrong, I think $50 for a virtual ticket is a bit much personally, even if there is a whole lot of content included which doesn't have to be watched live. We've gone to BlizzCon on press passes for the last couple of years, and even then we use the virtual ticket to watch stuff loads. Otherwise it just wouldn't be possible for us to keep up with everything going on, and the digital goodies are a hard balance to strike. But we're all grown-ups and can decide for ourselves if the cash is worth it. I'm far more interested in what the digital content might tell us about a future WoW expansion, because that's totally what it does. So yeah, okay, Anduin and Sylvanas, that's clearly BFA, as is the Wendigo from Borealis. But clearly Illidan is coming back next expansion, except now he's a ninja who is always asking for healing, and Tyrande is working for a big robotics corporation. I think that's totally what we can take from the Overwatch skins. The Hearthstone card back is in BFA blue and silver and has dragon wings on it, so clearly we are going to the Dragon Isles in 8.3. The Heroes of the Storm Celestial Deep Crawler mount? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? In Nazjatar, there's a big portal that's going to zap us into space for a fight with the Void Lords, who all look like crabs. Turns out Void Lords look like crabs. That's clearly what those rewards tell us. I don't see how anyone could really debate that. And maybe you're thinking, hey man, I don't care about all this dumb BFA stuff. You promised me there'd be news about WoW Classic. What Classic announcements can we expect at BlizzCon? Well, actually, loads, including new content and zones, a huge balance patch, new mounts, and no, obviously, it's Classic. There's no new stuff. You know exactly what you're getting because otherwise it wouldn't be Classic anymore, and you'd have to make another Classic for the people that still want Classic, and then suddenly the universe can't cope with all the alternate versions of the same game and implodes, and no one wins. But Ian Hazzikostas did let drop in an interview with PC Gamer this week that Phase 2 of the Classic content rollout would be coming before the end of the year, which suggests Blizz may be sticking to a strict 3 to 4 month patch policy for Classic, something that would pretty accurately follow Vanilla's own rollout. It also makes sense with the future in mind too. Keep to that schedule, and it means that Phase 6 would hit around 4 or 5 months before September 2021, which would be really handy if, I don't know, maybe they wanted to launch Burning Crusade Classic and they now established WoW expansion window. I'm sure that's just a coincidence though. Phase 2 itself isn't a huge one for content. A couple of world bosses in Azuragos and Kazakh, 3 wings of Dire Maul dungeon, and the key ring for holding keys. The biggest impact is that the PvP honor system will be enabled, allowing players to gain PvP ranks at last. Oh, and battlegrounds aren't coming till much later. so the only way to get those ranks is in world PvP. Oh, and Phase 2 will also see the complete removal of layering, which means basically the whole world is going to turn into one almighty ganking shitfest. Like, seriously, if you're not max level by then, don't even bother going to Stranglethorn. Just stay hidden and kill boars until you hit 60. It's the only way. Of course, layering being shuffled out is a major event for Classic, as it will finally have the big, beautiful, 100% natural servers it always wanted. Not quite true to vanilla, because the modern servers can fit so many more players in one realm than their 2004 counterparts. But that's one of those changes you don't really mind, is it? Blizzard put out a blue post this week confirming that plenty of realms were already working on just one layer. And yeah, I'm sure there's a player drop-off which has contributed to that. If this was a story about BFA, there would already be multiple videos online about the death of the game, but mostly, apparently, because players are starting to spread out over the map more as they level up. Even huge population realms like Fairlina have been working on just 2 layers for weeks at this point. So it looks like everything is well and truly in place for some server-wide mayhem in late 2019. And look, I want you to know I will take no pleasure in slaughtering the innocent in the streets of Stormwind as part of an invading horde raid. I don't enjoy it. It'll just be because I need the PvP ranks, okay? It's important to me that you understand that.
Well, we've got a lot to get through this week on this talky bit, okay? So no mucking around.
Okay.
No dawdling. One thing I want to ask though, how's your week been? Have you been buzzing?
Oh, I've been buzzing. I've really felt like
I made.
I'm just gonna do another one about how I feel like a queen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, you've been doing your B mount like pretty hardcore.
I have. So I've just been saving myself up for like hours of farming jellies.
You've been doing that.
And that's exactly what I've been doing.
You were so ready for that jelly.
Yeah, I was so...
What's your...
I didn't know if I was ready for the jelly, but I was ready.
It turns out you are.
And it pushes all of my like gamer brain buttons. So it's like I'll be doing
racism, misogyny.
Yeah, all of those. And collecting jelly.
Oh yeah, and jelly, sorry.
But in the fact that you're kind of flying around Stormsong, and you know, they spawn everywhere. Like, they literally spawn everywhere. I have add-ons and maps and stuff, but they always just spawn in random places. So I just do a grand tour of Stormsong, and you see a jelly, and you're like, okay. And then you see one, like, glinting in the distance, and you're like, okay, I'm not done yet. And then you get to that one, and then you're like, well... might as well keep flying around a little bit.
So,
and then...
so you've got your B?
No, my god, I'm not even close. Oh my god, are you kidding me? I got Bumbles like 3 days ago, and I've been hardcore grinding jellies, and I'm at Revered now.
So you got the goggles.
I have the goggles, so that helps a lot. But nice. I love it.
You didn't rename Bumbles. You just
no Bumbles.
You're not a pet renamer. That's not what you do.
Nope, nope.
I renamed mine.
Yeah, I know. What did you rename it to?
Beyonce. Because I am not ready for this jelly.
No, you never are.
Well, I haven't.
I always tell you the jelly is coming, and then you're like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "It's the jelly."
What just happened? We can't air that.
I'm talking about the jelly that I send to you in the mail to get your beam out.
You never share that jelly with me.
No,
I've got more chance of getting literally any other jelly than that. Now, I set you a little competition a couple of weeks ago, the last episode of the Weekly Reset, but it was just before 8.25 released, and we had a little talk about how we thought the content was going to come out, whether it would all come out at once, or whether it was going to like be sort of time-gated out a little bit. Turns out there was nothing to time-gate, because there was only like 3 missions. Anyone who could predict in the comments the closest, what the content would be and how it would be spread out, would win a prize. Now, I told you not to get your hopes up for this prize, and I hope you didn't, but Evitel, who is the winner of the prize?
Tulio Andrade.
Tulio Andrade, with this comment here. Thing is, we've got thousands and thousands of comments, so we just went through, and the first person that commented with something that could feasibly win,
yeah, and the earliest who did it kind of...
That's what I meant, yeah. Like, you were pretty much spot on, and you were also the first person who was pretty much spot on as well.
All of those things.
Tulio, my friend, you have won one of our new... Knowledge is Power pin badges. Usually you see our cut of the profits from these go to special effect, to help the kids, to help disabled people with gaming. But Tulio, you didn't give any money to disabled people at all.
No.
Those disabled people got no money off of you. Yeah, and you still get to enjoy the badge. You lucky thing.
Don't feel too guilty.
We're going to reply to your comment on the last video. Please reply to that, and we can get in contact with you, and we can get this sent to you.
Yeah.
You're going to have to reply, otherwise you won't get it. He's probably busy in his job helping disabled kids.
I hope so.
That would be very fitting.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Congratulations, and if anyone does want to buy one of our new Knowledge's Power pins and help with a very small amount of money, it has to be said, that goes towards special effects, but it all adds up after a while, then we think they're pretty nifty.
Ooh.
And the standard T&E one logo ones are there as well. So yeah, link to that in the description below. And we got another competition for you. We don't have time to do a whole other competition right now.
Not right now.
Not right now, but I want to show you this print. Now, you'd have seen this on stream the other day when these amazing prints arrived. This was sent to us by a company called Cook and Becker, who make it their thing to make these incredibly beautiful World of Warcraft prints.
They're
and
so cool.
They are going to send a couple.
They are going to send directly to you, dear winners, whoever you may be, high quality print versions. So this one and of the Pandaria one that we have as well.
Yeah.
So someone's going to get this, someone's going to get Pandaria. They come with a certificate of authentication and a pair of gloves. Just saying.
Because they're so beautiful, you don't want to touch
You're
them with
supposed to
your
be wearing
grubby,
gloves.
disgusting, horrible fingers.
Exactly.
You keep your fingers away from them, but keep your
those
fingers
mitts
on
away.
your keyboards and your phones, because we will be launching this competition in the week via Twitter.
Yeah.
So if you don't follow us on Twitter and you want to win one of these beautiful prints, and you do, I promise you, I got to admit, when they said they wanted to send us one of these, I was like, we don't have room. We don't have room for one of these prints. And then it arrived, and I was like, I'd already organised to give this to our friend Will. I told him when he came round for D&D, I was like, mate, we've got these prints coming. Do you want it?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'd love one. And it arrived, and I was like, there's no way I'm giving this to Will.
No.
I was like, I'm totally keeping this. This is going on my wall. This is beautiful.
Sorry.
So, Will, sorry, but it is nice.
Yeah.
Enter the competition, Will. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So keep your eyes on Twitter. Last question, 8.3. When's it coming? What's it going to be?
Maybe it'll be announced that it's coming just before, but we'll actually find out the content of it.
Oh, you don't think we're going to find out the content?
I think we'll find out some of it. And then I think they might use BlizzCon to be like, well...
I think that's what they call in the trade, hedging your bets there. Give me the name of the continent that will be set on.
Shadowlands.
Okay. Evitel thinks Shadowlands, everyone. So
I mean-
I guess we'll just wait and see, won't we?
I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah.
It's a conversation starter.
No, right, okay, yeah. In this case, a conversation ender, because that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the episode. And thank you for joining us today. If you liked this episode, well done you. And also, don't thank us, thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to help all our videos happen. Honestly, without you, there'd be pretty much no Taliesin and Evitel. By the way, some of you have already been talking with Evitel about this, but we are talking about a very special show that we want to do at BlizzCon, from BlizzCon, involving you and other real-life living people as well. I really hope that happens.
I hope so too. We'll see what we can do.
Oh, fingers crossed. We'll let you know about that in the coming weeks, because we are committed to doing a weekly reset every single week until Christmas break now.
So I hear.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Every single week there'll be a weekly reset now until our Christmas break.
I don't doubt it.
And when
at
I
all.
make a promise, Internet, most of the time I totally keep it. And it's thanks to our patrons, so thank you to them. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Bex. No, my name is Taliesin from me.
And me, Evitel.
Until next time, cheerio.